For our first experiment of College Football 26, you already know we had to swing for the fences. So today I'd like to show you the data behind the 498 recruits that I collected and help explain three things. Number one, why I hate JUCO players now. Number two, why I think gems and busts don't actually have that different of an overall. And finally, number three, revisiting what we found out last year about what matters more, the national rank number or the number of stars. But let's start with why I hate JUCO guys. No offense if you're watching this and you went to a junior college, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the junior college people in College Football 26 because they are not living up to the hype. When somebody goes after a JUCO player, the trade-off that they should be making is that they are willing to have less years of this player, but hopefully in exchange, they're going to come in, they're going to be older, they might be more physically developed, they might be bigger, faster, stronger. They should hopefully be able to contribute more than the average recruit straight out of high school. In other words, I think you and me would both expect a JUCO 3-star to be a higher day one overall than a high school 3-star. But that is not the case. Of the 498 players, we had just over 45 JUCO guys, and if you compare their overalls, both the JUCO juniors and the JUCO sophomores, you'll see that they're not any better than the average high school 3-star. So the only way that these JUCO players would end up being worth it is if for some reason they were much more likely to have better development traits and just progress better, but I don't think that that's happening. Like I haven't checked that, so I can't say with full confidence, but come on. So will I recruit a single JUCO player in College Football 26? Honestly, no, unless they change this and tell us that they've changed it. But number two, let's talk about gems and busts, because this is not something that we collected last year when we did this experiment, but I wanted to try and get some information this year. Now, of the 498 players, we had just under 30 guys that were either gems or busts. And again, I'm going to throw this table on the screen, and I want you to look at the difference in the starting overall of the gems, the busts, and then the regular players with that star rating. Now, having just under 30 guys here to compare to the regular players isn't fully enough for me to be like super confident, but I am pretty confident that gems and busts aren't going to have that different of a starting overall than regular players. Which means if there's going to be value in a gem and things to avoid in a bust, I think it's probably more related to development traits. I know some people gave that a look last year, but this just tells me that we need to do a deep dive on this channel on the impact of dev traits and scouting at some point this week. But for now, if I'm a small school that really needs talent quickly, and for some reason there's a 4-star bust that nobody else wants, I don't think I'm ruling that guy off the table, right? Like, he's not going to have a negative dev trait. At the worst, he'll just have a normal dev trait. And if a 4-star starts anywhere from like 73 to 76 overall, that guy could still be a solid contributor on a bad school, even if they never progress past 76 overall. So at this point, we've talked about the JUCO guys, we've talked about gems and busts, but let's talk about what matters more, how many stars somebody has or what their overall rank is. Now, those things are going to be very similar, right? There's going to be 32 5-stars. It looks like there's going to be, and I'm going to check the graph behind you, it looks like there's going to be from rank 33 all the way to like 470 to 490 for 4-stars. So that's like 450 to 460 4-stars, and then a ton of 3-stars. The question that we had though last year is that if we were to graph this where overall rating is the vertical axis and the national rank is the horizontal axis, what do we see? And I hope I just broke the record for the least surprising graph of all time. The highest rated people have the highest overalls. But what if we separate this out by stars? I'm going to add some color to the graph and I'm going to modify this axis. So look down here now at this national rank. Obviously, we are very wide for 0 to 10, and then all of the players from 400 to like 3,000 are really tight over here, because I want to try and show you the difference between the 5-stars, the 4-stars, and the 3-stars. Now, for 4-stars and 3-stars, the story looks the same as last year. The best 4-star and the worst 4-star is not that big of a gap, but as soon as you drop off from being a 4-star and you go down to being a 3-star, there is a big gap. And then again, within 3-stars, there's not that much of a difference. So similar to last year, we could say that if you know know how many stars somebody has for the 3 and 4 star players, we don't need to know the national rank. We're just going to assume that everybody has a very similar day 1 overall. Now again, there might be differences in dev traits. Maybe all the 3 stars that are ranked like 500 to 700 are more likely to be gems or more likely to have the best dev traits than the guys ranked 1800. But seeing how the relationship with overall looks, I would be honestly a bit surprised if that's the case. I'm not saying it's not possible, but we just don't have any data to confirm that. There is one difference this year from last year on this chart, and if you looked at the 5 stars, you might have noticed it. It actually does look like the 5-star players, only if you look at the 5 stars, the absolute best in the world, the top 2 or 3 players, do tend to have a starting day 1 overall that is higher than the worst 5 stars that are ranked 27th through 32nd. In fact, that relationship exists even after you account for the positions of all of these 5 stars, because some positions have a higher starting overall than others. So this is weird, and there's less than 50 5-star players in this sample, so I kind of want to validate this with a little bit more data, and that's different than the relationship that 3 and 4 stars have, where the best 3-star and the worst 3-star isn't that big a difference. But honestly, the 5-star stuff, it's interesting, but it's not that actionable. Like, if you get a chance to get a 5-star player, you're going to go after them, whether or not they're 81 overall or 78 overall. But it is interesting. Now, I did update that Google Sheet that would allow you and anybody else to type in a recruit's position and number of stars and get an expected day 1 overall. Similar to last year, we built a model with the number of stars and the position, and we are accurate with about 2 overall points either direction. So it shouldn't be taken as a source of truth, but it's a pretty cool way to see if the 3-star quarterback or the 3-star left tackle is more likely to have a higher starting overall. I will throw that link in the video description if you want to check it out. Otherwise, I feel like we got some awesome stuff in this first experiment. We now know that we can safely avoid JUCO guys. We know that gems and busts might not have that different of a starting overall than regular players. And I learned that I need to do another video on those guys. And finally, we learned that if you're going after a 3-star, just go after 3 stars. It doesn't matter if they're ranked 500 or 1500. All right, hopefully this first experiment was helpful. I had a blast making this. There's so much more I want to cover. Hopefully I see you then. Peace out.